Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and if you probably haven't guessed by this pile of stuff I've got here, I went to Golborne today. If you aren't aware, Golborne, it's a BVWS, which is the British Vintage Wireless Society kind of like swap meet kind of event. And amazingly, for a radio event, I didn't actually buy any radios at all. But I did get some interesting things we've got here. So what I thought we'd do in this video is I'll get the camera set up and we'll take a look through what I've got here. We might do a little bit of testing on some of this stuff. I'm not sure yet, but we've got a nice switch mode, or a nice bench power supply there. Something interesting which I'm not 100% sure what it is. An old hard drive, which might be interesting, and something nice and special. So anyway, I'll get the camera set back up and we'll take a look at some of this stuff that I've bought. So back in a sec. Right, I've got you on the bench. I've got my cup of coffee there. So let's get started. I mean, I've not got a lot of stuff. I didn't buy a whole amount of stuff this time, but what I've got, I think I'm quite pleased with, especially what I paid for it. So let's start with a simple cheapie that I picked up. Now, it says Type 2 on it. Please record this information for future reference in your operations guide. Now, we've got a old style hard drive plate there, but inside obviously we've got a 5 1/4 to 3.5 inch mounting bay. And to be honest, I paid £1 for this, so if that hard drive's no good, there's my £1. You know, you can't get these 5 1/4 to 3.5 inch drive bays like this for £1. So, like I said, there we have, that's my money there, just in the drive bay. But I'm quite interested in this hard drive. Now, it's an early one. It's a Connor. Now, that doesn't bode particularly well for it, because Connor hard drives don't have the best of reputations. It is a CP32T. Let me just write that down so I don't forget it. With my pen and paper here. What did I just say? CP. So CP32. Now, I'm guessing it's 32 megabytes T. Right. What I'm thinking about is, it is, like I say, it is a very early IDE hard drive, and there's a chance that this could actually be an XT IDE hard drive. And there's my clipboard just flown off the workbench, but never mind. I do recall seeing that kind of drive front used on Amstrads back in the day, Amstrad 1512 and 1640s. I never come across one with a Connor drive in it quite like this, but that looks quite familiar. And if you have watched my previous videos, I do have an Amstrad 1512, PC 1512. It's upgraded to a PC 1640. I've got it running through an adapter I made into a standard RGB input on the monitor and things like that. In fact, I need to get that computer back out and do some more work with it. But it does have a failing XT IDE hard drive in it. So if this is indeed XT IDE, and if this is indeed working, we might have a suitable replacement for that. In fact, just bear with me a second and I will just quickly see if I can search for that hard drive part number and see if I can actually just find it. So back in a sec. Right, okay, I've actually pulled the information for this hard drive up. I got the model number wrong as well. It's not a CP32T, it's a CP321. I just couldn't quite see it properly until I until I put my glasses on. But basically what they say is this is a very early IDE hard drive. It's actually 21 megabyte IDE hard drive, but it is standard IDE, AT IDE. It's not XT IDE, unfortunately, so it isn't of any use in like my Amstrad. It will have to go into an AT computer, but I certainly we'll show that on the channel again. I plan to do a video on doing some hard drive testing, because I've got a massive pile of old hard drives and I don't know if any of them are actually any good or not, so I thought I might do a video on just mass testing a load of old hard drives. So you'll probably see that when I do that video anyway, so we'll get that out of the way for now. Let me put that somewhere safe. And where can that go that's safe, where it's not going to get knocked over? Put it on my apricot over there. Right, I can move the laptop. Okay, let's go for the next thing that I bought. So which one shall I pick up? Let's go for this one. Okay, now what we've got here, this is basically a little stabilised bench power supply. Now what I liked about this is got a current limit on it, as where the little bench power supply I've got behind me here, which is actually currently powering my camera, because the charger for my camera's died. It went up with a puff of smoke. I haven't sorted a replacement out yet, so I'm currently using that. But that doesn't have any kind of current limit on it, and it's only a 500 milliamp maximum output on that bench power supply. Even though it goes from 0 to 25 volts, it's a useful supply. This is a little bit more useful. I actually do have something akin to this. I've got a Fresnel one up in the attic, which is faulty, which I need to actually dig out and repair. Which is actually a dual one. It's basically got two supplies like this side by side in the same unit. I will get round to sorting that out, but it's a little on the large side for like standard bench use. As well, this is a nice little one. This will fit in place with my old one that I'm currently using there. Just slide underneath the bench, and this has got a maximum output of 2 amps. It only goes up to 20 volts, where that one's 25. But to be honest, for most of the stuff that I'm playing with, 20 volts is more than enough on the scale. I mean, you're powering an old radio up or something, it's very unlikely that you're going to need more than 20 volts. And if you do, I do have other, other supplies. I think my Fresnel ones go up to 30 volts actually. But anyway, this actually came off the BVWS stand. I do tend to normally only buy off that stand when they're doing the clear outs at the end of the day. Main reason being that a lot of the stuff I've found on the BVWS stand has been, shall we say, got at somewhat by someone in the past. Most of the radios I've had from there, I mean, I've not paid much for them, but they have been pretty well played with, shall we say, before I've got my hands on them. This, however, this didn't look like it's particularly been messed about with or anything. It still has its original 3-pin connector on it, which may be the first issue that I come to, because I don't think I've got one that size that's going to fit. I'll just have a quick look here. It's a bulging connector. It's what was basically used as power connectors before IEC became standard on everything. And no, I mean, this is the bulging off my signal tracer. As you can see, it's a different. I don't actually think I've got one of those, so we're not going to be trying this in this video, as I'm not that mad about originality. I will probably change that out for an IEC anyway, just to make it easier for actually connecting things to. But anyway, we've got it out here. We might as well crack it open and then have a look what's inside it and see if anyone actually has been in there fiddling about, or whether it's still nice and minty fresh in there. Let's see if I can find a suitable screwdriver. I believe you need to take the bottom off to get in it. These feet have seen better days as well, so it's going to need 4 new feet. I do think I've still got a bag of few of these left. I'm running low on them actually. I think I've probably still got 4 though, so I can treat it to some new feet, because otherwise it just ends up scratching your workbench up. As you can see, these are just falling apart. Okay. Oh, lovely. And it just slides off like that. I'll have to see if I can date this. I'm guessing 1960s. But we've got a Kings Hill Electric Products Limited, Torrance Street, London. This is a Model 200. And it's got a very low serial number, 214. Either they didn't make very many of these, or that's a very low serial number. Seems very, very simple. A main smoothing cap there. Another smoothing cap there. I'll have to test them out. These are big wire wound resistors. This is old school. Yeah, we've got big wire wound resistors there for the what's that? That's the fine volts. That's coarse voltage. That's fine voltage for setting your voltage up. That's your current limit control there. So providing those wire wounds are okay, we should be fine there. Big power transistor on the back there. Got some big diodes in there. Another capacitor we'll have to look at. It all looks fairly good. We'll probably, like I said, we'll probably have to change some of these capacitors if we want to make this thing reliable. Which I do. I would like to press this into service as, like I said, a nice bench power supply. It does look fairly decent. I do like the look of it. You know, it's got a decent vintage look about it. I'll say it's probably. In fact, have I got a date on any of these capacitors? That's not the date. Sometimes some of these electrolytics were actually dated when they were made. British made. I can't see a date on that, unfortunately. But I'm expecting. Have we got a date there? No, unfortunately, I can't see a date on that. But I'd expect late 60s, very, very, very early 70s. It's a shame I can't actually see anything that's got a date on it. I'm sure when I get in there I will find something in there. Probably that big can in there, that's probably got a date on it. But like I say, I'm not in a mood for stripping it all down at the moment. I'm going to have to sort out some kind of new input. I'll have a look, see if I've got an IEC that we can put in there. Like I say, I'm not too precious about modifying it like that, and it makes it a lot more usable long term, because them bulging connectors, they're getting horrendously expensive. The other plug end that actually plugs into there, they are getting horrifically expensive, and like I said, I don't think I actually have one at that size. Anyway, I'll just quickly pause the video while I throw this back together, and we will move on to the next item. So back in a sec. Right, there we go. That's all back together until I can get round to actually doing a service on it. So we will do a full video on that, bringing that back to life. Providing there's nothing major wrong with it. Obviously we'll have to do some checks on the transformer and things like that. But the meter seems good. It's free moving. So it's really actually only the transformer, if the transformer's bad, that would really put a kibosh on this. Everything else in it is replaceable, or should be absolutely fine in there. Well, I don't actually remember whether I mentioned what I paid for that, but anyway, that was £5. So I was really pleased with that for a £5, and like I say, it doesn't look like anyone's messed with it. So at a £5, I'm quite pleased with that. We'll get that out of the way, and we'll get something else out, which this is a bit of a weird one. This is a bit of an odd mod. Now, what we've got here, well, apparently what we've got here is a little amplifier. Little bit unusual. You can already see what I paid for it. It was £1. I'll get rid of that. But apparently this is Russian. This was made in Russia. I can't actually see where it says it's made in Russia actually. Although it's Rigonda. I'm sure that I've seen that that name on Soviet-built little portable televisions, like little 5 and 7 inch portable televisions. So I mean, that does give us a little bit of an idea that it's possibly got a Russian connection. I haven't got a clue whether it's stereo or mono, but like I said, I was told that it's a little amplifier. We've got a DIN socket output there that's got a speaker on it, so I'm presuming this probably is just mono. And then on this side we've got, I believe that's for a tape, and I'm guessing like tape or record, or a microphone and record, or microphone and tape, or something like that. But anyway, we've got what appears to be 2 inputs on that side there. Oh, and indeed, it is made in Russia. It does actually say on the back here, I don't know if you can make it out on the camera, but it does say made in USSR there, very, very faintly. It's like virtually rubbed off. I don't think this cable is original to it. It looks too substantial to be something on something that came out of Russia. They usually did have rather thin power cables, and it feels dodgy. So first thing we'll do, again, probably won't be actually powering this up in this video, but we will do a bit of a tear down on it. Let's have a look at the state of the plug. Oh dear. Right, well, we do have a 3. That's not necessarily a good thing, so we don't know whether this thing's got a transformer in it or not, but we do have a UK 3-core flex on it. No card grip at all, and a 13 amp fuse in there, so that's not good. And it's wired, so the first thing that would pull out if you yanked it would indeed be the earth there. Right. Not a huge issue, because I believe this is a plastic case, but we won't be plugging it in just like that. And so this has obviously had some work done on it sometime in the past, but it could just be as much as someone put a new mains flex on it. I've got a little bit of damage in that corner there. I don't even know if this thing's valve or transistor. It was £1 and it looked interesting. Then I hadn't bought much, so I bought it. Right, let's have a look. So we've got a break here. Or that, I think it looks like it might have been glued in the past actually. Right, let's see what we've got inside. Ooh, Russian transistors. Right, so it's a transistorized amplifier. Big transformer there. That's a big mains transformer. Definitely need to sort that cable out. That's horrible. It is very, very Russian. That's all I can really say about it. It's also very, very rusty. That heatsink there is covered in rust. All these shieldings here are covered in rust. What an interesting thing. That feels like it virtually just lift out. That's the power transformer there. This could make a really cool little amplifier with some speakers for a PC or something. Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. So basically we've got a very bent printed circuit board there with like most of the electronics on there. We've got all our preamp circuitry and everything on there, and then two big output transistors. I still can't figure out how is this wired. Is it stereo or mono? We've either got two big output transistors in push-pull, and this is quite a hefty, powerful mono amplifier, or we've got single output transistors, probably being driven in like Class A, and I don't know, a watt perhaps per channel. I can't really tell because everything's basically worn off on the front here. I can't tell if one of these is meant to be a balance control. That says treble, bass, and that's volume. So no, we don't have a balance control. So I'm guessing this thing is mono, and it's probably quite, it's probably a few watts actually. Yeah, we will do another video on this and perhaps actually see if we can get it powered up and running. But that's quite interesting. So obviously that that mains cable needs addressing. I don't think this thing should really actually need a 3-core cable on it. I'll have a look at that. Just to make sure that's a double wound transformer, not an auto transformer. It does have a big power transformer in the bottom there. But yeah, that was quite interesting. I'm quite pleased I picked that up for £1. That'll certainly come up in a future video, and we'll do something with that. Right, now this is the bit. I'm sure if you saw the start of my video, you was wondering, what's the thing in the box? What's he got in the box? What's he picked up which is computer related that isn't that hard drive from a vintage radio event? Ooh. Just a minute, it's actually quite heavy, this. We've got a Coco too. Check this out. It's not okay. It's a boxed Coco 2. Yeah, the box is not in A1 condition, but it's still a boxed Coco 2. I've actually got one of these because, believe it or not, I had a Coco back in the 90s. I very foolishly blew it up. But I did have a Coco back in the 90s. I picked up from a car boot sale for a few pounds, not very much. But I think I only had like 2 games for it and 1 joystick which kind of like partially worked. Like I said, and I ended up messing about with it, fiddling about with it, and ended up blowing it up. And I actually still have the horrible chiclet keyboard from it. I think I've got 1 cartridge. I think it's like a word processor or something like that, and the getting started with Colour Basic, and I believe that's actually exactly the same as is on the original Coco, because mine was a Coco 1, like I said, with the horrible chiclet keyboard. This is the Coco 2. This is what replaced it in I think it was 1983. I think the original Coco came out in like 81. And the Coco 2 replaced it in 83. I think that's about right. My history on it is not perfect, but this is very. If you have watched my channel for a while, you know that I've got a Dragon 32, and basically this is what they had in America. Well, they had it over here as well, but this was Tandy's kind of like idea of the same kind of thing. Now, people say that the Dragon was a copy of this. I've even heard people say that this was a copy of the Dragon. Neither of those are correct. Both the TRS-80 Coco and the Dragon 32 are basically Motorola's stock designs for a computer using the 6809 CPU. Basically, when Motorola brought out the 6809 CPU, they brought out like an example computer that could be built using the 6809. And both Dragon Data and Tandy went, oh, that looks like a good design, we'll just make that. And hence why both computers basically ended up very, very, very similar. They are not exactly the same. You cannot take most games or most cartridges or most cassettes for, say, a Dragon and run them on a Coco. The ROMs are very, very, very slightly different. There are easy ways of tweaking like a Dragon game to work on the Coco and vice versa. But at last, actually, I've finally got a Coco in the collection. And I'm really, really, really pleased with this. We'll get it out of the packaging and we'll actually have a look what we've got. I believe there is actually a few tapes in here as well. Yeah. What we got? We've got Cuthbert Goes Walkabout. Now, again, if you're into your Dragon 32s, Cuthbert, I think, was on a lot of Dragon software. But this is definitely a Tandy TRS-80 colour computer by Microdeal. So again, it would have been no issue at all back in the day if they'd programmed this for the Dragon, just to make a few changes and have it run on the Coco. So we've got that. Awesome. We've got Scramble. That's I'm pleased with that. I've never actually played Scramble on this. I think I got Scramble on the Dragon. But yeah, have I got Scramble on the Dragon? I know I've got Scramble on at least one of my vintage systems, an original tape, but I'll have to see if that still works. Looks in reasonable condition. And we've got Cuthbert Goes Digging. Again, I believe this is one that you could get on the Dragon 32. Another Microdeal game. Again, looks in decent enough condition. What else we got? We've got the cassette lead. Hook it up to a cassette player. Now, one thing I actually have now, it's modified to work on a Dragon 32, but I do actually have a disk drive cartridge, a Coco disk drive cartridge. And I imported it from America to actually use with my Dragon 32, because Dragon disk drive cartridges are horrendously expensive and quite hard to get, especially original ones. The Coco cartridges, because a lot of these were sold in America, are easier to actually get in the US, and that's what I did. I got one for not a huge amount of money. It was like £45 or something like that, and about £12 or £13 postage to have it shipped from the US over here. But what I did with it is I actually took the original Coco ROM out of that cartridge and replaced it with a modified ROM, which allowed that cartridge to work with a Dragon 32. What I might do, I've actually got the original ROM, so I could either put the original ROM back in it and just be able to use it with the this Coco, or I might actually fit a ROM switcher to it, so put both ROM images onto a bigger EEPROM and just have a little switch, so I could switch between the two, and I could then actually use that cartridge both in my Dragon 32 to load software and as it's intended on this Coco to load software, which I think could be really, really cool and something I'd like to have a play with. Anyway, let's get it out of the packaging and see what state it's in. Get the poly inserts off. Even those are in okay condition. It's not often you see these boxed. Unfortunately, I've already seen something that's going to be an issue. We'll have to sort out. But I think the computer has survived it. The cable, however, if we look here, can you see all this? This is where the polystyrene has reacted with oils basically leaching out of the plastic. You see where it's basically it's eaten into the plastic, and yeah, that's a bit of a mess. It's all along the mains cable, so we may have to put a new mains cable on this, which would be a shame because it is the original. It's got the original moulded plug and everything. We'll see if we can clean that off. What is really good is a lot of times when that happens, the cable actually lays for 20, 30 years in an attic, actually on the plastic of the computer. And it actually, people think it's someone's left a soldering iron on the case when they've been working on it, and 9 times out of 10 it's not. It's where the cable over years has been resting like this in a box in an attic over while this has been in storage, and it literally melts into the plastic and causes those marks that look like soldering iron burns. From what I can see on here though, it doesn't look like there is any. It's a little bit dirty, it's a little bit yellowed, but it's not bad at all. It's not really yellowed, and it's only grime. There's nothing nasty, there's no chunks out of it, there's no real damage on it. Actually, the keyboard actually doesn't feel, I mean, I don't know whether it works, I'm sure I'll need to do some work on it, but it doesn't feel terrible. It actually feels fairly good. I'll just give you a quick tour around it. We have, like the Dragon, we've got a cartridge slot there, and it is basically it's exactly the same cartridge as the Dragon. It's just, like I said, the ROMs are different. I do have that one Coco cartridge. Like I said, I think it's either a typing tutor or a word processor or something like that. But at least we can use that to see if this is actually working. And on the back we have power switch, TV out, left joystick out, right joystick out, serial I/O out, which the Dragon, I don't think the Dragon had, cassette, and we have a reset button. What I've noticed what we don't have, which I was sure that these did, is we don't have a monitor output. We don't have a video out. All we have is to TV there. And I'm not sure if these have a speaker in them or not. No, I'm not sure if these have a speaker or whether it actually comes through the TV. So we will probably have to have a look at doing some kind of video mod on this. I mean, obviously we can test it using RF. I do have TVs which are compatible with RF. But to use this thing long term, like I said, the Dragon has composite video output on it, but it doesn't look like this because there's nothing on that side there. We only have a cartridge slot on that side there, and we do not have a video output. So we are going to have to do something. We have something that says set channel 36 there. That would have had a switch, I believe, on the US version of it. I was sure that the US version of these had composite out on them as well, and I thought the British version did, but obviously not. But that's easy to sort. We can easily add a composite output to this thing. But yeah, I am absolutely super pleased with that part of the. Well, I'm pleased with everything that I got at Golborne this time. But I am super pleased with the colour computer too. We are not going to be trying to power this up in this video for one main reason. This has a built-in mains power supply, and I don't know what state it's in. From what I was talking to the chap that I bought this off, I don't think this thing has been powered up in a very long time. It was quite a funny thing, really. I spotted this under someone's stall at Golborne, and I started hovering round it. I'm pretty sure there's probably absolutely no one else at Golborne that's into vintage computer stuff. But I saw it and it didn't have a price tag or anything on it. And I thought, I saw the box and I opened it. I thought, oh, it's got the computer in it and there's some other bits in there as well. So I'm trying to find the guy that's on the stall, and it's a round stall, so it's not exactly a stall that someone can stand behind. And I must have been stood there about 5 minutes or so, and eventually this fella comes over and says, can I help you? This is my stall. He said, I'm sorry, I said, he can't stand at the stall because it's a round stall and it's a bit of a pain. So I said, yeah, I said, how much do you want for the cocoa? And he said, believe it or not, he said, it's actually belongs to a friend of his, and he says it's the only thing that he didn't know the price of on the store. He said, I'll go and get him. So he brings his friend over, and his friend goes, I didn't bring that. He said, I remember loading it into the car at your house. He said, but I didn't bring it. He said, it must be yours. Anyway, it turns out it probably belonged to a friend of theirs, and it had been given to one of them, and no one was really sure whose it was, but they didn't really want it, and they didn't know really anything about it. They didn't know whether it worked or anything. So I said, well, how much do you want for it? And the guy just said, just make me an offer on it. So I offered him £20 for everything, the box and everything, and he said, yeah. I think he was quite surprised that I offered £20 for it. I wasn't going to offer less. You know, obviously, like I said, I don't know whether this works. It could have something majorly wrong with it. But it's complete, like I said. It's boxed, even though the box is old and tatty. I thought at £20 I can't really go wrong. So yeah, that's basically what that's what I paid for this thing. We will do a proper full video on this and trying to get it to power up and seeing if any of them games and everything work. But like I said, that will be done in its own proper standalone video, because this thing's worth doing a proper decent video on. Like I said, I'm absolutely stoked about actually getting this thing. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now, because I've already rambled on for probably over half an hour on the junk that I picked up at Golborne. So I hope you enjoyed that little show and tell of what I got. So hope you look forward to the upcoming videos on like that power supply and playing with this thing. So I will say thanks for watching and goodbye.